The breath of the northern forest was slow and deep beneath a sky of brittle stars. Xeeona Septhyr sat by himself upon a fallen trunk, the flames of his campfire painting amber lines across his worn leather armor. The poison was completely gone from his veins, yet its memory lingered like an old scar, an ache that reminded him every time he takes a breath. The northern forest was quiet that night. No wolves tested the dark, no goblin chatter among the trees, only the steady crackle of fire and the soft whisper of wind moving through snowy pines. He preferred it this way. Still, his short sword rested on his belt, plain and unadorned, its edge catching a dull reflection from the coals as he enjoys his meal through the night. The north did not forgive carelessness. The flames sank lower. Xeeona exhaled slowly and leaned back, yawned, as he allowed his eyes to drift half closed. He just let the fire burn to embers before sleep claimed him. Then it came, a scream, not the distant cry of an animal or the panic of a prey, but a woman's voice, sharp with terror slicing through the quietness of the night. Xeeona was on his feet before the echo faded. He did not run blindly. His steps were swift but measured. He knew every bend of this forest, every hollow where snow gathered too thick, every ridge where wind carried sound farther than it should. A woman alone here at this late night, in this season, was wrong. The north did not welcome such fragility or such carelessness. Another cry tore through the trees. He moved faster. When he broke into the small clearing, his short sword was already in his hand. Two goblins hunched over a woman on the snowy ground, their mottled green skin twitching with cruel excitement. One turned first, sharp eyes locking onto Xeona's silhouette, framed by moonlight. Recognition flickered. They did not hiss or attack. They did not test their luck. They simply fled. Curses in their own tongue spilled from their lips as they vanished between the trees, scrambling over roots and vanishing into the underbrush. Foolish creatures they were, but not suicidal. Even goblins whispered stories of the half-elf ranger who hunted the forest without mercy. Silence reclaimed. Xeeona lowered his blade slightly and approached the woman. She was young, human. Her dark hair spilled across her shoulders, catching frost at the edges. Her clothing was thin, absurdly thin for the unforgiving cold. Little more than layered cloth meant for temperate lands, or most likely for bedrooms. No fur, no travel gear, not even a weapon. Impossible. Are you hurt? Xeeona asked, his voice low and steady. She shook her head quickly, breath trembling in the cold air. No, I thought I was going to die. Thank you. I don't know how to repay you. Her eyes lingered on him with a mixture of relief and something softer. Xeeona studied her carefully. No blood, no torn flesh, just fear and cold creeping into her skin. He exhaled through his nose. "You would have," he said bluntly, "with those clothes." He reached and gave the fur cloak from his pack. He rarely wore it. His blood ran cool enough without it, but she would not survive the night without protection. He draped it over her shoulders. "This cold will kill you faster than goblins," he added. "My camp is near. There is fire." Her expression softened into gratitude. "I am in your debt. Save it," Xeeona replied. He turned without flourish and led her through the trees. She followed closely, clutching the fur around her slender frame. When they returned to the camp, the fire was still burning softly. Xeeona crouched and fed it fresh wood until flames rose again. The woman settled near the warmth, curling on his sleeping mat beside the blaze with visible relief. The forest watched, and Xeeona listened. The fire settled into a steady burn, its glow pushing back the worst of the cold's cruelty. Xeeona lay on his side away from the woman, one arm beneath his head, eyes half closed but never truly asleep. The forest had resumed its slow breathing and silence. The woman rested near the flames, wrapped in his fur, her silhouette soft against the firelight. Minutes passed, then the weight shifted. A warmth moved closer. Xeona's eyes snapped open as he felt a soft fabric brushing against his arm. The woman was no longer by the fire. She was beside him. "What are you doing?" he asked sharply, already pushing himself up on one elbow. She did not recoil. Instead, she leaned closer. Beneath the fur cloak he had given her, the thin cloth she wore parted slightly, revealing more skin than the cold would ever allow. Her breath was warm against his face. "I wanted to thank you," she said softly, her voice low and melodic, carrying an almost hypnotic sweetness. "You saved my life. It is the least I can offer." Her fingers brushed lightly against his chest. Xeeona stiffened. "Woman," he said, irritation in his tone, "you owe me nothing, especially not this." She tried to draw closer, her voice dropping softer. "Let me repay you." He acted fast, not cruelly, but enough to halt her. "You will repay me by surviving the night," he replied. "Go back to the fire. Sleep before the cold settles deeper." For a heartbeat, something unreadable flickered behind her eyes. Then she withdrew back to the sleeping mat. She returned to the edge of the flames, curling into the fur with visible displeasure. "You are a difficult man, Ranger," she muttered, "stubborn as a dwarf." Xeeona blinked. The words struck something in his mind. Weeks ago in this same forest, 2 dwarves had grunted nearly the same judgment after one of his decisions. "You've the temper of a dwarf," Boric had laughed. "More stone than elf in you." Xeeona exhaled through his nose. A faint, reluctant smile touched the corner of his mouth. He rolled onto his side again. "Sleep," he muttered. The forest listened, and at last true sleep took him, He woke to wrongness, not a sound, not a scent or movement, absence. His hand moved automatically to where his short sword always rested. Empty. His other hand went to his pouch. Gone. He sat upright instantly. The fire had burned low to grey ash. The woman was gone, with his weapon and belongings. Xeeona rose slowly, jaw tightening. Filthy thief, he growled under his breath. Yet even as anger flared, confusion followed close behind. He had slept but lightly. He has always slept lightly. A seasoned ranger did not surrender himself fully to the dark. And the woman, she had not carried herself like a cut purse. No tension in her shoulders or in her face, no quick, measuring glances at his gear, no instinctive scanning of exits. And yet his sword and belt pouch were missing. He crouched and examined the ground. No fresh footprints, no drag marks, no disturbance in the frost. The clearing lay untouched, as if she had simply vanished into the air. Xeona's frown deepened. Impossible. He straightened slowly and turned toward the trees and beyond where he had last seen her. Under the mercy of those goblins, he began walking toward that point, every sense sharpening, every instinct pricked. The forest was still silent, too silent.